Welcome, people of the World Wide Web. So it's Cypher Sigma. It is a Sunday when this is going out, and this is the movie review for Drop. So let's move it over and let's put it here. Apologies for that. Obviously, I've done another little talky, ranty video on the Saturday, so hopefully if you've come across this, you might be interested in that. Just convey my thoughts on how people view movies. I saw this movie on a Tuesday night, so I had a few days to mull it over. This was one I was going to see with my wife. Unfortunately, stuff happened. We couldn't go see it one week. The next week, it was only being shown at 8:30. I finished the movie, I think, just before 10:30. So quite late of an evening. It's an hour and 35 minutes long. It's directed by Christopher Landon. Only done a few horror movies like Death Data U and Freaky in that, which I've seen. I think Freaky, which was okay. So very horror genre. He seems to be a writer director for. We have a few cast members in this. So we have Megan Fally as Violet, if I pronounce her name right. So she is the main lead of this. I will only list a few people here because it's kind of a whodunit and I don't want to then start throwing in stuff. Brandon Sklegner, if I've got his right for Henry, he's, I think, the guy from, or the love interest from This Is Us. No, from the Blake Lively movie from last year. Not This Is Us, that's something. And then we have another Violet, and she plays Jen, who is Violet's sister. So the whole premise of this, you have, if you haven't seen the trailer, essentially it is a woman goes on a first date, and then she is essentially coerced, so to speak, into doing the actions of a mysterious person, third party that is involved. There's all kind of underlying plot to it. That's the gist of it. If you've seen the trailer, I don't want to give too much away. I will put a spoiler warning up now. I said I will try and keep a lot of it quite short because I don't want to ruin it, because there are twists and turns, which I think is better for when you see it. So as I said, the movie starts. We have Violet. She's on the floor. She's being hounded by a guy in shadows, who is basically threatening her as it comes out of the shadows, pointing the gun at her. And you can see she is quite concerned. It then kind of flash forwards to Violet on a laptop, and you find out she's some sort of psychiatrist. She has a young child now. Whatever has happened behind her, and she's basically sorting out a date to meet this bloke that she's met on the internet and been speaking to for 3 months, called Henry. This is when we meet Jen, her sister. So her sister comes and babysits her son. She has cameras up all over the place because of all this past situation. So we find out a little bit as time goes on that it was her ex. Her ex threatened her. He ended up killing himself, but his family thought that she did it and she's been blamed. And this is why there's a lot of blame. There's a lot of emotional scarring. There's a lot of physical, probably, scarring here. And it's why she has the cameras and kind of why she does the job, because she can relate to it, not let people know. So she goes on this date. She gets there slightly early. She interacts with a few people at the bar and a barmaid, stuff like this. And then her phone starts going off and she starts getting these messages, and they're called drops. That's why this film was called Drop. Essentially, if people do not know, it's where kind of someone in your location, if your account is open, they can kind of send you a message and stuff like this. She starts rejecting it. Henry turns up. They kind of start interacting, and then there's more. And then she actually clicks yes at one point. This is when it tells her to look at her camera, and there is a masked man with a gun in her house, and then she is basically forced to do a set of tasks. We don't know the set of tasks at first. First, it's one is to steal an SD card. Second one is to then kill Henry. And there may be others, but I'm not going to go too much into that. As I say, as the date goes on, she's trying to get around what she's doing. Obviously, it becomes very apparent the person is watching her is quite close by, has access to the cameras and has bugs all around the place so they can hear. So it's hard for you to be able to kind of get away with what you would normally get away with in these sorts of movies. One thing leads to another. I would say it has a happy, I say I don't want to go too much, I just want to set up the premise of this movie, and I probably won't go So what happens is obviously a set of events happen. It culminates in her basically leaving the date, rushing home, and managing to save her child and her sister, who is hurt within this process. I'm not going to tell you how the rest of the date goes, if the date survives, if if she got the person, and or what is all about. That is going to stay, I think, shrouded. I think for this review, because I think I want to give it more. I don't want to ruin that for people who are watching it. So what did I think? I am going to rate this movie 5.7 out of 10. I did enjoy it, but I did feel it was missing something, and I still, after a few days, cannot place what that is. So for me, it was very beautifully shot. There are scenes where the lighting is dimmed down to focus on one person, mainly Violet, half the time. There are ways stuff shot and the camera rolls with certain people and has certain different angles, which I think is very clever, very kind of in this day and age. It's very good to see a very new director. Obviously, Holy, I think this is the 11th project he's been on to actually take risks and stuff with that. And I think Lowe's worked really well. It definitely made it stand out more than other movies that I've seen, specifically of this type of genre. I think the twists and turns of when you find out the person and all it, that was good. I never saw that coming. I'm quite good at guessing stuff like this. So I have to, tip my hat to the director. He got that spot on as well. It just seems to be maybe the chemistry with the date and everything going on and stuff. It seems a bit kind of chaotic as it feels as it goes along. And there's too much going on, and there's certain stuff of would it happen to that. And I think personally, I would have liked a bit more time for the two to gel before this started happening. And I said the whole point of it, I don't know why she would have clicked yes, because that was a bit of a weird situation to have, someone's messaging and you don't want to know. Why would you then click yes? You would, like you get spammed or phone call from a number that you didn't know, you would just ignore it. Why would you want to pick it up, even if they did hound you? The also other thing that I think is me, so I'm not the biggest horror fan. I'm not the biggest kind of terror type of movies, but these are. I do like the mystery side of things. That's definitely right up my street. When you get stuff like kind of Megan, like there's somebody evil out to get, I'm not saying somebody evil out to get her, but obviously a family are being threatened and stuff like this. The thing that I find a lot more recently, that the protagonist, the main character, they always had a rubbish life. In this case, she had her ex abuse her, potentially try to kill her child, shoot himself in front of him. That's a lot for someone to go through, and then you spent all these years trying to get over this. And then another bad thing kind of happens, and you kind of have to question, it's like almost Final Destination. Why does it keep finding its way back to this person? And you had it with Megan. Obviously, you had the young girl where parents had died and all this stuff, and she goes with her aunt, but then this doll goes psycho and stuff like this. And it seems to be quite a common theme of this stuff happens. And I'm like, why can't it just be a person why can't this woman just be a single mum that has found a person, not necessarily into domestic abuse, and that's it? And then this happens, and then you kind of have the story. Why I don't, for me, I feel, I sympathise with the person straight off the bat when I understand their situation they've been in, and like, oh, that's not great. And then worse stuff comes up, and I'm like, oh, come on, give them a break. But maybe that's just me. Have you seen the movie Drop? What are your thoughts and feelings? Please let me know them in the comments down below. I've been Cypher Signal Screen Time. Hope you've enjoyed this review. I hopefully will have 2 for you next weekend. I will keep them a secret of what I'm going to see. But otherwise, do all the things you want to do. Hope you're having a nice weekend, and I shall see you in the next one.